I don't remember how I got here. One second I was stepping into the elevator at work. Fluorescent lights buzzing overhead. Coffee in my hand. My mind empty. Drifting. Then, everything blinked out. When the lights came back on, the elevator doors slid open, and everything was wrong. The polished marble floors were gone. The gentle hum of office life, gone. In their place, concrete, cracked, wet, cold. The kind of cold that creeps into your bones, that doesn't leave. Dripping water echoed down the corridor, slow, deliberate. Above me, a single fluorescent tube buzzed, flickering erratically, like it was struggling to stay alive. I should have hit the button. I should have turned around, but I stepped out. And when I turned back, the elevator was gone. Not closed. Gone. No frame, no doors. Just a concrete wall where the opening had been. Like it had never existed at all. The hallway ahead was silent. Not empty, silent. The kind of silence that listens, that waits. I walked. I don't know why. Maybe I thought I was dreaming. Maybe I still do. But the deeper I went, the more I felt it. The air didn't just feel cold. It felt aware. Watching, breathing, and somewhere down the hallway, something else was breathing too.
Eventually, I found a backpack, shredded and half buried in a corner.
Inside was a cloudy water bottle and a torn note, written in shaky handwriting. Don't trust the walls. They watch. They listen. Avoid the corridors that hum the loudest. I kept the note, not sure why. Maybe I needed to believe I wasn't alone. Or maybe I already knew I wouldn't be alone for long. I kept moving, not to escape, not to find an exit, just to keep ahead of the silence. Because the silence here, it follows you. But then I saw something at the end of a hallway. Not a shadow, not a trick of the flickering lights. Something real. At first, only the eyes were visible. Two crescent shapes glowing yellow in the dark. Not soft like candlelight. Sharp. Predatory. They didn't blink. They didn't move. They just floated there. Like bait. Then came the smile. Too wide. Like someone had sliced a grin across the darkness itself. No lips. Just a clean, luminous absence in the shape of a grin, stretching impossibly across nothing. It didn't walk. It slid, as if the floor didn't apply to it. It didn't make a sound, but every step forward made the air colder, heavier, like gravity deepened around it. I couldn't breathe. My limbs locked. It wasn't fear. It was like my body forgot how to move. The thing wasn't just looking at me. It was studying me, measuring me. When survival kicked in, I dove sideways into a branching hall. Just as I slipped away, its cold presence brushed my skin, like drowning in ice water. My teeth chattered. I gasped for air. That was my first encounter with a smiler. And then I understood. This wasn't a nightmare. It was real. Later, hours, days, I don't know. I realized there were other things down here. I heard them before I ever saw them, clicking claws on the concrete. Sometimes a low growl that vibrated inside vents or ducts. I thought it was in my head, until I found another backpack, torn to pieces like it had been mauled. Inside, a crumpled piece of fabric, black ink, scratched in desperation. If you hear claws, don't breathe. If it finds you, it doesn't stop. They don't chase, they pursue. I wanted to laugh it off, but then I heard the claws. Fast, close. It moved with purpose. It was tracking something. Then it appeared. It wasn't human. Pale, raw, like its skin had been boiled and left to rot. Limbs were too long, joints bent backward and sideways. It crawled on all fours, spasming with each movement, like its bones remembered walking, but its muscles didn't. Its head jerked violently side to side as it sniffed the air, twitching like it was tuned into another frequency. Then the mouth opened. Its lips peeled back farther until its jaw hung open like a snake's, stretched all the way down to its collarbone. And when it made that sound, it hit the inside of my skull. I froze, tucked behind a rusted fuse box, and I held my breath, not because I was trying to be quiet, but because I physically could not breathe. That thing was close, and then it crawled past me. That was a hound, and I knew with absolute certainty, if it had seen me, I wouldn't have had time to scream. But the worst thing I've seen here, the thing that still haunts me every second I close my eyes, wasn't the hound. It was the Faceling. I didn't hear it arrive, didn't hear footsteps, no breath, not even the whisper of clothing. And I only knew it was there because something shifted. The air changed. The room suddenly felt wrong. I turned, and it was already there, just standing, tall, thin, human-shaped, but something about it made my stomach drop straight through me. Its body was the silhouette of a person, but the head, where its face should have been, there was only smooth, pale skin, blank. No eyes, no nose, no mouth. Just this soft, stretched sheet of flesh, like something unfinished, like reality skipped a step. It didn't move. It didn't breathe. It didn't blink. But I knew it was watching me. Not with eyes, not even with a face, but somehow, I felt its gaze, like cold fingers crawling beneath my skin. And the moment I locked onto it, something inside me broke. I forgot where I was, what I was doing. For a second, I couldn't even remember who I was. It was like the thing didn't just look at me, it reached into me. Its presence didn't make a sound. It made silence deafening. All I could feel was pressure. On my chest, behind my eyes, in my skull. Like it was squeezing me apart from the inside out without moving an inch. And that's the worst part. It didn't chase me. It didn't even flinch. It just stood there, watching, waiting. I didn't choose to run. My legs just moved. I turned the corner, hoping for relief, but it never came. Because it was still there. Still behind me. That's when I realized I wasn't lost. I hadn't wandered in. I was lured. I was being hunted. Like prey. After that, I stopped hoping for exits and started looking for patterns. The only thing more dangerous than what was inside this place was the place itself. It was a living system, and I was trapped inside it like a clot in a vein. Running didn't help. Hiding only delayed the inevitable. I had to start memorizing patterns. Not because I wanted to, because not knowing could get me killed. Some corridors pulsed with this low, steady hum, almost like a heartbeat deep in the walls. That was Smiler territory. Then there were the places where the air changed. Not just colder, sharper, heavier, like it was pressing down on you. Like the atmosphere itself was watching. That meant hounds were nearby. And then there were the silent paths. The ones where even your heartbeat felt out of place. That's where the Facelings waited. Still, listening. Letting the silence eat you alive. I started keeping track of every place that might give me even a few seconds to breathe. Not because they were truly safe, just less dangerous than everything else. But nothing stayed safe for long. Sometimes I'd pass the same hallway 4 times, only to find the walls had grown closer, as if the building was breathing in. The pipes were always dripping, slow, steady, taunting me. I'd watch the drops fall and wonder if they could keep me alive. But the water was never clean. It shimmered with strange, oily colors, like something dead had been leaking through the walls. Still, I drank it, because I didn't have a choice. You either drink, or you die. Food was even harder to find. Sometimes I'd get lucky and find a few scraps, half a protein bar near an old sleeping bag, a handful of crumbs scattered on the floor. But it was never enough to satisfy. Just enough to stay alive. Just enough to keep starving. Sometimes I screamed, not for help, just to prove I could still make a sound. Other times, I pounded the walls until my fists bled, shouted at cameras that didn't exist, kicked at doors that led nowhere. I once tore a rusted vent grill off the wall with a piece of broken pipe, only to find solid concrete behind it. No matter what I did, it didn't matter. Because this place, it doesn't follow rules. It loops, it shifts, it traps, like a maze that rewrites itself every time you blink. Eventually, time stopped meaning anything. No day, no night, no clocks, just the constant flicker of dying lights and the sound of my own heartbeat, louder than my thoughts. Sometimes things would change, just slightly. A hallway I knew by heart suddenly had stairs. A dripping pipe began pulsing in rhythm with my pulse, Walls narrowed until they scraped both shoulders, and I hadn't noticed until I was already wedged between them. I once passed through a room that had no walls at all, just pillars, hanging lights, and an infinite floor disappearing into fog. And then, the Smilers came back. This time, they didn't wait. They chased. I ran. My heartbeat pounded in my ears. Then I saw it. A maintenance shaft, half collapsed and barely wide enough to crawl. Rusted wire shredded my arms, but I didn't care. Because in that moment, I was safe. For now. Sleep became dangerous. Every time I shut my eyes, I imagined they'd still be open when something found me. But exhaustion is cruel. Eventually I collapsed, curled in a ball inside the maintenance shaft, clutching the shredded backpack like it could protect me. I tried to stay half awake, one eye open, fingers twitching around the handle of a bent metal rod. Didn't matter. Sleep came anyway. And when I woke, something had changed. The air was thicker, syrupy, like it resisted my lungs. My chest burned with every breath. The lights weren't just flickering anymore. They were shifting, fading between cold hospital white and a sickly, infected yellow. Then came the tremor. A low vibration, deep beneath the floor, like something enormous shifting in the dark. Hours ago, the hallway ahead had been a dead end. Now it had become something else. A new corridor. Wide, dark, breathing. This wasn't level 1. If you've made it this far, you're already part of the archive. But be careful. The Backrooms listen, and they remember. Subscribe, if you dare, for the next descent. Because level 2, it's worse.